is the Dublin Special Master.
Live and direct.
Breakfast with CubCamTV.
Trickstar Radio.
Right then, people, we're back inside the building. It's just gone 5 minutes past 9 here on Trickstar Radio. Out to the locked-in crew each and every time. It's Breakfast with KXVU. Obviously, we're in the building from 7 till 10, with that final hour being the interview hour. Today, we are continuing our series of conversations with different artists and musical figures from around the world. We're going to be getting into a conversation today with someone who is involved in so many different areas of underground music across the UK. Someone who has a very, very exciting catalogue that we're going to be kind of diving through. We're on the phone with a man like PAV4N. How are you doing, sir? How's your morning going?
Yeah, brilliant, man. Thanks for getting me on the show. How you doing, bro? You good?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. It's awesome to get you on. I'm loving the enthusiasm right from the off as well. It's always a good sign.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Yeah. So are we live?
We are live. We are live inside the building. So we've got loads of stuff for us to get into conversation-wise. Obviously, you're someone that's been involved in the UK scene for a long period of time. Like, just how long have you been kind of working in that sphere now?
Oh, bro. I mean, I think I was so inspired by the UK scene and UK music, and from about 96, 97, when I left England, and I was so inspired, I came back because of it. I came back for uni in about 99, but it was really the music that brought me back. So I left uni in about 2001 to do music full time, but I think from about 99, really, that's when I kind of really started hitting pirate stations and trying to throw our own raves and, open mics and trying to figure out how to really, make it in the scene. So from about 99, I'd say. From
about 99. So that's now, we're talking coming up to sort of 22 years of experience in the game. It seems like you're someone that's been involved in so many different areas of the sort of music industry, from the sort of label end, from a performing end. Like, do you want to sort of run through that history quite briefly of the different areas you touched on?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think my main intention moving to England was to be an MC, really. I kind of fell in love with the UK hip-hop music that was coming out at the time, and obviously jungle. So those two things blew my mind enough for me to want to change country and move to England, move to London. So in the beginning, it was figuring out how to make it as an MC in the drum and bass scene. But I think because we'd been making hip hop for so long, so much longer than that, myself and Dag Nabbit, the hip hop music was ready, and I kind of found that the general scene was a bit more welcoming, and it was a bit more diverse. It was a little less aggy at the time. Jungle music in the 90s was, it was a scary place. But and it was also very much a lockdown situation. So anyway, like, our music was ready then, but I think everything from like my involvement in the industry is like throwing events, releasing records. We've had 2 or 3 different record labels, and I think by about 2003, that's when we started Foreign Beggars. And I think our reason for starting the label was we kind of just got messed around, as you do as young artists. I think we learned a lot of lessons in those times, and then decided to go at it ourselves, which I'm really grateful for, because we learned so many things really early on in our career, which helped us, navigate this crazy industry, as it were.
100%, bro. I mean, fast forwarding a little bit off the back of that. Obviously, now you are someone that's been involved in a few different label projects, and kind of looking back to where you were then. What would you say the thing that's changed the most is, from a kind of both an artist perspective and from a kind of label frontrunner's perspective as well?
Well, I think obviously we started before the internet, so that's a massive thing.
Of course.
Right? So, secondly, it's in an industry where, like the final, I don't know, like when we started, you could actually make money from selling records. There came a point where selling records became a secondary thing. So the actual final product that we make is not something we can actually really, you can monetize it, but not in a direct, A plus B kind of way, like any other kind of industry. Like if you go for a haircut, you can pay for the haircut, or if you buy something from a shop, so you can make something and sell it. It's not the same with music. So you have to, I think, navigating that entire transition of moving from physical products to streaming services, where it's like a real abstract way to get paid for artists. I think that's the main thing that's changed. But I think the internet is probably the biggest thing that's kind of changed our industry.
Definitely. I mean, even thinking about that to begin with, just the idea of kind of accessibility, and I suppose even having access to certain information from an artist perspective that wasn't there, I'd say probably 20 years ago. But it's such a crazy thing to think about. And again, fast forwarding forward a little bit more, we are now going to move on to talking about foreign currency, which is obviously the main project right about now. We spoke a little bit about this in a sort of text interview we did for 3000.co.uk, but I would like to kind of dive into it in a little bit more detail. Like, obviously, the foundation of that label, where did that sort of the need to create this label specifically come from?
Essentially, there was 2 or 3 things that inspired me. I think having left England and moved to India to launch my personal PAV4N project, I just come across so many new underground awesome producers, and I've known quite a few. I've seen the movement for the last 10 years evolve, and there are some artists which are really, really world class, which I feel aren't getting the recognition. That was one point. So creating a bridge between artists in South Asia and the rest of the world who aren't necessarily getting recognition or a platform. Number 2, I think generally, like, I've been working with quite a few like incredible artists who aren't necessarily in the right place. It's like I'm just actually helping artists and actually having 5 or 6 different projects sitting on my computer, and artists who are starting to release but are completely falling through the cracks because they're not in the right place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that they don't have access to a scene. And I don't know, thirdly, this has been a dream of mine to put a label like this together for a long time. So finally being in a position where, I think very much due to the fact that we were locked down and I was in the same place every day and not touring, I was able to really start putting the team together and start connecting the dots and build something that's actually, going to last with a proper foundation.
100%. And I mean, the activity over lockdown's been great. Obviously, we spoke quite specifically about a couple of releases that were going on. And the thing that I noticed the most when we were going through the catalogue, and again, you can sort of dip into this in the 3000 interview we did, but the sort of diversity of genre more than anything else in the sounds you were pushing forward. What inspires that variation? Because obviously, you come from a musical background of kind of hip hop and sort of swaying into D&B and jungle, but this label goes everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, we obviously, Foreign Beggars started as a hip-hop group and we kind of evolved into more of an electronic outfit over the years. But for me, I think it just comes down to curation and work that we like and people we like to work with, It's not necessarily, I think it's just like, for me, I think, obviously, I'm into a bunch of genres. I'm into a lot more music than this, but I think in terms of a record label and releasing these, there is something of a common thread there. And I think for me, it's like if I have a physical reaction to the music I'm hearing, that's kind of what makes me want to sign it. So if you send me a tune or you send me some music and I put it on, and it actually makes me stop doing what I'm doing, stand up, and then transports me somewhere. That's kind of or makes me want to get in touch with you immediately. That's kind of my barometer for wanting to sign something. But in terms of musical diversity, people, I think people don't listen to one genre of music, anymore, and I think we're actually starting a new sub-label where we're going to focus a lot more attention and energy on the 140 spectrum and drum and bass, because those are 2 scenes which I think still have a very kind of genre-specific vibe and a way in which to service the scene, service the artists, and service the DJs, So,
definitely.
So we're starting a new label called Dark Mode. It's like foreign currency dark mode, basically, for the 140 and drum and bass, which is happening. Actually, this is the first time I'm announcing.
Oh, there we go. So we're going to get some explosions in on that. Fantastic.
Yeah, so we're starting that label in August at the 1-year anniversary, and that's the plan, really. Also by being this diverse and being this prolific with the label means we can actually really, kickstart it and start connecting and natural platform. I'm inspired by, like, in terms of the way that I put this label together, I'm kind of inspired by how some of the bigger EDM labels in America did it, like Monster Cat, for example, or Never Say Die Records. The way that the sound is very different to what we're doing. The structure and the way that the experience that I've had with working with them is really kind of what inspired me to set up this kind of foundation in the way that I have done.
I mean, that makes so much sense. And obviously, off the back of that, just the casual kind of thing of, oh, we're starting a whole new label as well. Like, you're such an inspiring figure when it comes to kind of staying busy and also staying on top of a lot of different projects. How do you manage to stay on top of so many different things? Because it is so interesting to hear about all the different pots you've got bubbling away.
I think essentially it's all about, like, because the thing is, like, I get excited by things and I want to do stuff, and I think my reason for doing things nowadays is like it's kind of having like a more realistic and long-term vision. Like for me, if I was fully touring around the world right now, I would be very hesitant to start. I would have been hesitant to start a label, but I think just making sure that you really plan it out, have the foundation set, and I think like having done 3-4 labels in the past and seeing what's happened, what's worked, what's not worked, looking at the current climate, looking at our financial state, and actually setting up a team properly. I think mainly it comes down to experience and understanding what you can do, what you can't do, and what a pipe dream is. Because it's starting a label, and especially a prolific label where you are dealing with a lot of artists, you know, you don't want to let the artist down. So I think it just comes down to like knowing where I've been let down in the past, knowing where I've let people down in the past, and actually realistically thinking like, can I do this? Can I not? Can I do this or not? And actually setting up the team properly. You know, it just comes down to organization really and forethought. For me, I'm a pretty impulsive, sporadic, out there kind of person because I'm an artist. It's not because I'm an artist, but I'm very much driven on that side of things. So having a proper team of grounded and focused individuals around me is very important, you know?
100%.
It's teamwork, basically. Teamwork and organisation.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's so interesting to hear because obviously you have been through all these different sorts of situations, and to hear that experience kind of almost culminating in the project we're looking at now, it's so exciting to hear, and it definitely makes me look forward to see what's on the way label-wise. We are going to jump into a tune next, which is obviously coming from yourself alongside Nutty P. This one goes by the name of Moves. Very, very quickly, talk to me about this tune and how it came together.
Nutty P hit me. I've known Nutty P for about 15 years, I think. And this is actually a project that he was going to sign to. And this is a prime example of why I set the label up. This is a track I did with him about 2 years ago, which he was going to sign to another label, which was just sitting on our hard drives. And it was I really love this tune. So finally having a vehicle of our own to put it out, I was like, Nutty, give me the tune. I'm going to put this out rather than it just kind of rotting on the hard drive and becoming irrelevant. So yeah, Moves, Nutty P featuring myself. It's just a naughty little cheeky number.
There we go. Well, we're going to jump into this one right about now. Before we do, what are the best social media platforms for people to get hold of yourself and Foreign Currency as well?
Right now, Instagram at PAV4NCO and at Instagram.com/4N currency. If you look up PAV4NCO, PAV4N with a 4 and a CO at the end, or 4N currency, anywhere you'll find us.
Amazing stuff. Well, we're going to jump into this one right about now. It's just coming up to 18 minutes past 9 here on the Big Bad Trickstar Radio. It's the interview hour with myself, Kovu. We're live on the line with Man Like PAV4N. Keep it locked and don't go anywhere, my friends. We're in the building till 10. Oh, yes.
This is Breakfast with Kovu, bringing you them morning flavors on Trickstar Radio.
Trickstar Radio.